former Maryland Transportation Authority Police Chief Gary McElhenney joins us live in the studio to talk more about this attack. So Gary, you were once in charge of security for Maryland's bridges, tunnels, and airports, potential terrorist targets. Now this attacker was shooting from the 32nd floor of a hotel about half a mile away. Could anything have been done to prevent this?
From a law enforcement perspective, no. I mean, he was outside the perimeter, which is a reasonable perimeter. We see at all kinds of events, whether it's New Year's Eve or 4th of July. You know, law enforcement can only do so much with the resources they have. This gentleman was set up at a place where he knew that he was only limited by the amount of ammunition he had.
Right.
That police could not get to him in a reasonable amount of time. He could not be stopped from this perch to this killing field that he created.
So how do you function in this country right now as someone who is maybe going to attend the marathon in Baltimore in a few weeks? How do you approach an event like that? And
I think that's what everybody wants to know. You know, if law enforcement cannot protect me at these type of events, what do I do? What can I do? And you know, it's as simple as saying we need to be trained. We need to think differently when we're in large crowds and groups. No longer is it okay to go to the movie theater and simply walk in with your popcorn. You have to look and see, okay, if something happens, where's my closest exit? How am I getting out of here? At a concert, at a sporting event, at large crowds leading into any major event you might go to. I mean, we have to start thinking like that because law enforcement cannot protect these type of soft targets.
Speaking of thinking differently, this attacker had a different profile than the normal mass shooter. I mean, he was twice the age. He didn't have any known social media rants or anything like that or political affiliations. Right. So how do you prepare for something like we witnessed today?
Someone that's completely under the radar. I mean, we have to rely on intelligence normally, and we always tend to look back at incidents and say, you know what, we missed this clue, or we should have caught this clue. Doesn't appear there to be anything like that in this case.
Do you call this an act of terror, or how do you describe this?
I describe it as murder. This is a criminal who committed a heinous act and killed a whole lot of innocent people. That's murder.
From your law enforcement perspective, you spent a lot of time policing this area, watching this unfold, seeing the videos, seeing how first responders must have saved many lives and even still so many injured, so many dead. What are your personal thoughts?
First of all, I'm proud of the profession I came from. These men and women did an unbelievable job. If you listen to those radio transmissions that were coming in, they didn't know where the shooting was coming from originally. And then once they located, they came up with a plan to try to neutralize it. That takes unbelievable amount of bravery. At the same time, tending to victims who were still under fire. I'm proud of the profession. I'm proud of the men and women in law enforcement who do the job every day, but particularly this day, they saved a lot of lives.
This day we're covering the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. Last year we were covering the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history in Orlando. It keeps happening. The death toll gets bigger and bigger. I mean, what do we do as a society? How do we stop this from keep happening?
You know, those are policy questions that I think, you know, the experts and the politicians have to answer at some point. But right now, I think we need to just start thinking differently as a community, as citizens, as law enforcement professionals, of, you know, how do we manage these events? Because we live in a free society where you know, we want to go to our sporting events, we want to go to these concerts, but we have to recognize there's a danger in that now in this country.
Well, let me ask you, going back to the question I was asking you about how you approach these events if you're attending, say, the marathon or the Fells Point Festival, you're talking about kind of thinking defensively, right? So how do you approach that if you're going to an event like that, particularly, let's just say, the marathon? Say you're going as a runner. What do you say? There's no exits there. What are you supposed to do? How are you supposed to think?
Yeah, so, you know, it's a mindset. You know, I remember back when I was a young child when we had drills in elementary school, okay, about a nuclear attack. Now it's, you know, where am I going to go if something comes from this side? Wow. Okay, or if something comes from in front of me, where do I go? How do I get out of this situation? That's something that, you know, we talk about police officers and the mentality they have. But as a police officer, I think about that. Okay, the average citizen does not think about that, and I think we all need to think about that.